All right, everybody, welcome back, Buckeye Banter. Today's episode, we're going to get to Browns and Buckeyes recap. This week, we're also going to add our players of the week, offensive and defensive. So, between myself and my good friend Eric, who's helping out with some of the content on the Facebook feed, we have come to an agreement. And some of you may not like our picks, but hey, we're going to give them to you, and I'd love to see your picks in the comments. So tell us who you think are the offensive and defensive players of the week. So without any further ado, let's get right into this edition of Buckeye Banter. Welcome to Buckeye Banter, Sports in the OH. All right. So, Ohio State game. Yeah, it was a good game. What we needed from them, we got from them. Um, I felt like I wanted to address what I think was the most noticed issue, which was obviously Harry Miller. So let's just talk about that elephant in the room real quickly. I see a lot of criticism on this guy, and I have to tell you, if you've never played the offensive line, if you've never played center, let's not criticize this young man too much. This is a young man who has been starting at guard for this entire season. Yes, he played center in high school. I played a little bit of center. I also played guard and tackle. So I understand swapping over to center on little to no reps. Now, let me also reiterate something here. This season, the reps that these guys are getting are very different. The amount of time they've had to practice together is very different. And so I can imagine that his reps at center have been so minimal. Even though he might be considered, the guy who would step in an emergency, as he did, it doesn't mean he's getting a lot of reps there because they just don't have a lot of reps. And so in this short week, when they were short staffed and short on practices, this young man stepped in, and in the end, he did an admirable job. Because let me tell you, even though Justin Fields gets a lot of credit for being an amazing receiver of some of those really errant ones, he didn't sail any of them too far. They were not good. Don't get me wrong, but he was at least getting him mostly in a place where Justin could catch him. Should he have done better? Could he have done better? Sure. With a lot more practice, he would have, I'm sure. And who knows? He might slide over and play center next year. We'll see. And I expect if he does, you'll see much better effort out of him because the kid knows what he's doing at the position. But if you don't have that familiarity with your quarterback, it's really, really difficult. Add into it that you're also trying to call out what you're seeing in front of you for the rest of your offensive line, which is typically what a center does. There's a reason why the centers are really, really important. I was actually a little surprised that they didn't try to have more of their offense under center. But this is what they do, and so they made it work. And thankfully, everyone else just helped them overcome. So, um, the offensive line as a whole mauled, and that was great. Michigan State. Let's not fool ourselves here. They don't have a good team this year. So we needed to hang a big number, and we did. So, also really, really happy for Larry Johnson. If you haven't seen the video of him dancing in the locker room, pretty great stuff. Them dumping the Gatorade on him. This is a guy who's just a phenomenal, phenomenal defensive line coach. Who yesterday got a W. So, and I'm sorry, Saturday got a W. So, if you haven't seen those, check them out. They're on our feed. They're all over the place, but you can definitely find them on our Facebook feed. Let's just get right into let's just get right into now then our offensive player of the week. I think it's a no-brainer. It's got to be Justin Fields, right? You can see here his stats. The guy was just Mr. Everything. He ran for 100, threw for almost 2, 2 rushing TDs, 2 passing TDs. Yeah, he was pretty phenomenal. So that we're unanimous on that. Eric and I both agree. And on defense, Haskell Garrett, I think that play he made on that ball, tipping the pass, catching it, getting the TD, pretty exciting stuff. And this is for a guy who was shot in the face. This is a guy who maybe could have been not in the game, could have been dead, and instead, thank you Lord, somehow this guy is playing the game at a high level and looked great. So exciting for him, be out there at all, and to be having a game like this, you gotta be grateful. So congrats, Haskell Garrett and Justin Fields. So next week we'll see what happens. Anytime now we should get some sort of an update on what's going to happen for that team up north. Crazy stuff going on there. We just don't even know what Whitmer. I'm not trying to get political here. Don't take this the wrong way, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that somehow Ohio State apparently was allowed to travel to East Lansing, but there is some question as to whether Michigan. Sorry, I said the name. Oops. That team up north will be allowed to travel to Columbus. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, let's be precautious. Let's do what we need to do to fight this virus. I'm all for doing the necessary things to keep people who, especially high risk people, from getting sick and exposing themselves. But why in the world would it be okay for Ohio State to travel last week? We just did to East Lansing. So we brought a team full of people from Ohio all the way up to Michigan. That's to that state up north. But this week, that team up north can't travel down to Columbus. I just don't see the logic. I don't understand. So hopefully that doesn't end up being a thing. There's some talk. I saw Jeff Snook. Those of you familiar with Jeff is a known writer, very much has an inside scoop on a lot of things all the time. Comment that today we should hear more, and that there's talk that maybe the Big Ten is going to try to find if there's another team potentially who could slot into that game if need be, or if not, to change the rules so that Ohio State can still go to the championship game. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep you up to date on that. Keep watching the Facebook feed, especially because that's where we're most up to date to see what's going on as news breaks on that. We might have a special episode if we get a cancellation or something. We'll see what we can do. All right. So with that, let's jump into the Browns. Wow, what a game for the Brownies. Second half, not so much. It was a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde for sure. So thank goodness we put up a big number in the first half, because that second half was really scary. And as I've seen some people comment, one more quarter and the Titans probably win that game. You can say a lot of things like that. I'm not one to get into that sort of thing, because I honestly think that obviously you play the game differently. If somehow there was some weird fifth quarter, it doesn't exist. We play the game in 4 quarters. The coaches know that. Do I agree with the approach that they took in seemingly kind of taking the foot off the gas a little bit? I'm not sure that they did. I think the Titans made some adjustments. And let's not fool ourselves. That's a good Titans team, well coached. And they weren't going to just lay down. I don't know what happened in the first half. I think maybe they were believing a lot of what the media was saying, that this Browns team wasn't that good. And maybe they thought they were just going to walk all over them. I'm not sure. But instead, they got their teeth kicked in that first half. Had some uncommon turnovers, which hurt them, and the Browns made them pay. And you know what? Good teams do that. Now, the other thing that we did is we held on and we won. And I've said this before. You hold on and you win when you're changing a culture, and that is huge. Many, many, many of us have been through some of these games before when they didn't hold on to win. We had that lead, and somehow we found a way to lose. This team's not doing that, and that's what we should be most excited about, in my opinion. We should be most excited about the fact that this team is finding ways to win, even if it means scraping to get it at the end. But they are. They're doing what they have to do, and they're winning games. You know what? 9-3 is 9-3. It don't matter how you got there. And right now, as things go, depending on what happens today, we likely would face the Titans again in the playoffs if it ended today. So that would be an interesting matchup again, obviously. So let's get into Browns Offensive Player of the Week. Again, I think this was an easy one. Baker Mayfield. Mostly in the first half, but you know what? Big numbers. 334 yards, 4 TDs, 87.7 QBR, and a 147 QB rating. That's pretty good. He also had a catch for a first down. And he also had an amazing Dwight Schrute quote. If you haven't seen that, you should definitely look for it. It was great stuff. So that is Baker Mayfield, our Offensive Player of the Week for the Browns. And this one might not be so popular because I know some people were like, where's Myles Garrett? What's happening to Myles Garrett? Well, let me tell you what happened to Myles Garrett is he was being held and he was being double teamed on every play. So you look at the success of this defense this week because in the first half they were very successful. Second half, not so much, but in the first half they were very successful. And this guy's the reason. Don't fool yourself by seeing that he only had 2 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, sack. Okay, those stats don't show what this guy was doing. If you watch the film, you're going to see that this guy was literally being held or double teamed and held, or maybe triple teamed, all throughout the game. So yeah, you might look around and see some guys who had better stats than Myles Garrett, but Myles Garrett's presence is why those guys had the stats that they had. So, our Defensive Player of the Week, Myles Garrett. He's not going to win awards around the league, but we're going to give it to him for that very reason. So, next week, we get that big matchup, and it is critical. I mean, hard to beat the chance that we have coming in to play right now as a 9-3 playoff team ready to make the playoffs, and we get Baltimore at home on Monday night. Now, most of us hate the Steelers, and most of us hate the Ravens. We might argue about which one we hate more. I'm not sure. To be honest, it's a toss-up for me. But I got to tell you, getting a chance to get some revenge on these Ravens at home in Cleveland on Monday night, big. We do this, and it takes away the doubters. So let's do it. Let's see these Brownies whoop some Raven butt on Monday Night Football. The nation will be watching. Baker needs to show up and play like he did this past week. I'm not saying he has to throw for 334 and 4 TDs, but I'm saying is he's got to make the plays that he has to make. This past game showed why Kevin Stefanski was so highly thought of. Everyone expected us to go in there and punch these guys in the mouth with a double-gunned running attack that we're known for. And instead, we came out throwing the ball. Why? Because the Titans' defense in the secondary is terrible. And we showed it. And you know what? I expect that as they get more used to playing together and this team continues to gel and this group in the front office and the coaching staff continues to work together, we're going to see more and more of this type of success. And that's what we should be excited about. So, here's hoping. I'm going to get into this preview episode later in the week, but here's hoping the Brownies can really whoop on those Ravens next week and get some payback. Because, boy, we took it in the teeth the last time we played these guys. So, Monday Night Football, the nation will be watching. Let's show them what we're made of. Again, congrats to Myles Garrett and Baker Mayfield, our offensive and defensive player of the week. And don't forget, like, subscribe, share. Again, very soon we're going to be doing our athletic 30-day invitation giveaway. So you'll get 30 days free at the athletic.com if you're not a subscriber to that. And you want to pay attention to these upcoming episodes. We're going to share on our Facebook feed, on our Instagram, all over social media. And in an upcoming episode, the details for how to participate in that. So yeah, like, share, subscribe, and hope you guys have a great week and enjoy this Victory Monday. Go Bucks, go Browns.